I'm Dr. Ginger Blackstone. I'm one of the NBS board members. I'm a faculty member at Harding University. And thanks for joining us for today's Career Focus Friday. I'm so happy to introduce to you Rick Trujillo. He and I have known each other for decades, literally. We went to school together a long time ago, and he's had such a fantastic career. He has more awards than anybody I know. And I'm just really excited to bring him to you today. So Rick, thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Good to see you again.
It's great to see you. Okay, so just so people can kind of understand who you are and what you've done, you're this amazing videographer and you've seen the world really through the camera. So just in a broad stroke, tell us what your career has looked like.
Well, you know, I always say I didn't pick photojournalism. Photojournalism picked me. And that's really true. I never touched a camera until I was 32 years old. I'm almost 65 now, and I'm still doing it. It totally changed my life. So, you know, I learned how to shoot at Harding University, and then just kind of went on from there. You know, you learn on the job, you start in small market and kind of work your way up. And my approach was different though, because I was already 37 years old when I got into the business. I was already an old guy, right? Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to see how far I could go, how fast, because I didn't have any time to waste, you know? And, you know, I made it to KUSA Denver, the photojournalism staff of the year in 4 years from when I graduated. So I just continued. I've been pretty much a gypsy. Started in Little Rock and worked in Southwest Kansas, Denver 8 years, Los Angeles a year, Las Vegas 4.5. Alaska 7 months, and then I got recruited by the TV show Cops in 2014. So that's what brought me back down to the lower 48. And the last several years, I've been doing a lot of freelance work. I'm now on the crew of Dickies Arena as a camera operator, which is a totally different mindset, skill set. But you're still taking pictures. I still get to take pictures. And I'm like a kid. I'll always be that way. And now I even have an interview to be maybe a teacher in high school. You can't make this stuff up, right? So it's been amazing. Yeah. I
remember you and I, there was a convention in Las Vegas, and you and I met up and reconnected, and it had been a while. And you were talking about the fun of breaking free kind of out of the news mold. So you got started in news and kind of got the basics there, but then you broke out of that and then you started doing much more entertainment stuff. You also did some sports too. We have a lot of students that are excited about sports. So what kind of skill set, because that's a whole different ball game, literally. Bad pun, but talk about that, because that could not have been easy.
Well, it's like Dickies Arena. It's live. I look at it as live television, right? So if I'm shooting a hockey game in Las Vegas, I got to the point where I could focus and keep in frame the puck going 100 miles an hour from the far end of the rink, follow it, and bring it up to the guy who's, you know, stopped it. I mean, it's a totally, you're not dealing with sound, which I'm so huge on sound. It's a different way to shoot and think and adjust. Like with Cops, you never knew what was going to happen. You always had to be prepared to go this way, back up, go forward. I mean, you never knew. So I think if you learn your craft first, like in news, like so many people do, then you can branch out and adapt to film, the internet, whatever. It's all about telling a story, right? So I think I started doing a lot of sports in Denver. I got there when they won the Super Bowl, late 90s, and shot Bronco games for two seasons. Some basketball games, and I did a lot more in Las Vegas with hockey and a lot of basketball tournaments. And so the door opened for me, but I was already, in a news organization. So I think you have to just be in the right spot at the right time, and know the right people. I don't know how else to say that.
Yeah.
So many doors have opened for me to get jobs. I hadn't a thing to do with it. It was somebody else saying, "Hey, look at Rick Trujillo. Why don't you get a hold of that guy?" I did nothing to get these jobs, So.
Well, and what is your approach? Because did you feel that you were ready to break out of news into some of these other areas, or did you just say, "Hey, I'm going to do this and figure it out"? I think that might be intimidating to some people. Am I really ready for this? Am I going to fall on my face?
I'll tell you what, I've fallen on my face so many times, and I took risks big time, and paid for it, but it just made me stronger, more fearless. I had more confidence in myself. When I got to KUSA after 4 years, I was full of doubt. I'm not good enough to be here. I mean, it was a horrible feeling. I'm not good enough to be here with the best in the business. And then I went to another station in the same market, and now I'm being nominated for Emmy Awards and stuff like that. And I thought, you know what? I was good enough to be there. So I think that I always had a problem with self-confidence, but I've also always been fearless and go for it, man. And I have no regrets for the moves I've made, the risks I took. Now I could do that because I wasn't a family man. I wasn't married. I didn't have kids. I could get up and go to Alaska. I could go to LA. I could shoot for cops all over the country. So that was one advantage where I could do that and not hurt anybody else. But I think sports is, same way with entertainment. I was in Los Angeles shooting for the Univision station KMEX. Well, they knew that I didn't know how to speak Spanish. They hired me anyway, but I couldn't do man out on the street interviews. I couldn't ask the questions in Spanish. I couldn't edit. Is it after port K or KS? Where's the edit point? You know what I mean? They decided to let me start shooting entertainment stuff. That's how that door opened. So I started shooting stuff entertainment-wise in LA. That opened the door to Las Vegas, where I did a ton of work with celebrities, red carpets, interviews, all that type of stuff. So I got a chance to do news, sports, entertainment, documentary work with the 11/11 documentary that I was part of years ago. So I just didn't stay in one place. If I would have stayed in Little Rock for 25, 30 years, God bless them, but that's all I would have known if that's all I ever did. And I just, I wanted to see what's out there. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I say first get your foot in the door, and then you decide where you want to go. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It's an adventure. It's a journey, and I'm still having things happen to me. So
I want to touch on some of the nonprofit stuff that you've done in recent years, because it seems like that has just a whole different level of heart to it. And what got you interested in that direction?
I got involved in the church, since I've been down here in Fort Worth. And I always wanted to document what mission work was about, document missionaries and what they do, because it's all about telling a story.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt, man, I want to use my God-given talents for that. That's what I want. That's really still what I want to do. Ultimately, so I got the chance to go to Honduras and Haiti a few years ago and document the work that U.S. missionaries are doing in those part of the world. And it's an amazing thing to go to somewhere like Haiti and see what real poverty is, and then come back here. There's no comparison. But I wanted to use my gifts to tell their story. They could, they have a video. They can come back. They can make money, show it to groups, and help.
Yeah.
I felt like that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for.
Do you want to talk about cops? That was kind of a career insanity, literally.
Well,
You had so many crazy things happen in shooting that.
Well, I was up in Alaska working, and I had to sign a contract for a year. 7 months into that year, I saw that cops, they were looking for 2 crews. They expanded. They were looking for 2 more crews. So they did a nationwide search. I got picked. A photographer from Phoenix was picked. I got hired over the phone. And I decided to come back down, and they didn't like me in Alaska because, I had to pay all that bonus money back. But I thought, man, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for a photographer to do cops. Nobody gets that chance, There's only like 15 people in the world who do that, right? So I couldn't turn it down. So I went to Las Vegas and met all these guys, and I thought, oh, I don't belong here. I'm not good enough for these guys, right? But I went to Lafayette, Louisiana, Springfield, Missouri, 10 weeks each. And then that was the year that our sound supervisor was shot and killed in Omaha, which is why I'm no longer with them. That happened in season 27. So,
Right.
My friends, my wife now, Rick, it's not worth it. The money, it is Russian roulette out of there on the streets. Got involved in 2 street fights protecting our cop. One of them, which made air, season 27. But it was an amazing, amazing experience. And that was a big risk to take.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I could do it.
Your Marine training came.
That's one of the reasons why I got hired. The executive producer was a Marine. Because in a gig like that, you're the photographer, you're the editor, you're the field producer, you're the director. It was just me and the sound man. That's it. And we had to protect ourselves. My sound man's primary duty was to protect me, to watch my back. So, yeah, you just have to be able to handle yourself in those kind of crazy situations.
I want to ask something that's a little bit different. When you pick up a camera, what are you looking for? Because you have a very distinct signature. I mean, I can almost I've known you long enough that I'm like, that is Rick Trujillo shooting that. I can tell with your eye, because you have such an interesting, things are, well, you don't go for the obvious shot. I mean, there's a time and a place for obvious, you want your wide shots and your medium shots. But you have a unique perspective. So what is the Rick Trujillo video theme? What do you look for? What makes you different? I don't mean to put you on the spot.
You remember that old Schwarzenegger movie, what was it, Terminator? Where he looks at the world with grid lines. Remember this one shot where,
yeah,
that's how I look at the world. I see lines, I see composition, I see light. And it's not just seeing, it's hearing. Audio is more important. If anything, if I couple audio, natural sound with the way I look at the world, maybe that's what makes it a little different, because there's sound to it. Does that make sense? That's what, but like composition wise and using the rule of thirds and all that stuff, you just figure out what your own style is, what you're looking for, what works, what doesn't work. It just takes time. And I would say I'm still learning. I'm always a student, or I look at other people's stuff, or I look at movies. I'm always getting ideas. If you're going to steal from the best, right?
Right.
I always watching stuff and try to incorporate. Nowadays we have stabilization, we have shallow depth of field stuff I didn't have to play with back in the day. So it's like, man, I want to get a drone. I want to get a better camera. I probably should have, instead of that thing, probably bought a better camera. But
no, let the company buy it.
It's just you just develop whatever Rick Trujillo does. I mean, it just came naturally. And remember, I didn't touch a camera until I was 32 years old.
Right.
My instructors at Harding were telling me, Rick, you have the eye. You either have it or you don't. I didn't know I had it.
Yeah.
But I see that now in all the people I've worked with over the years. The ones who have it naturally, you don't have to teach them or motivate them. I don't know. It grabs you. It just grabs you.
I also think of tight shots, like super tight shots. You're not afraid, and you don't use the zoom that much, right? You typically just really get in there. You're not afraid to, in a situation, you're not afraid to get your lens where it needs to be.
Well, look what happened at the Fort Worth Stock Show Rodeo several months ago, when I had a bull come up, and he was at 3 inches of my lens. This big 2-ton bull reared up, but I didn't move. I didn't flinch. I always felt like if your lens isn't dirty, at the end of the day, you didn't get close enough to your subject. And I really feel that way. I'll get that camera in there. To get sound too. I will get the camera involved. I'll get the camera off the sticks. There's a time and place for that, but I love handheld work. And you got to get close. I've been knocked down at football games. Cops, I fell 2 or 3 times around with the camera, whatever. But it's just getting that thing involved. And you might get hurt, but so what? The shot's probably worth it.
Right. Well, I want to open this up to questions. So does anyone have anything that they would like to ask Rick? I don't want to run the whole show. Any questions, anyone? What would you like to bring up, Rick, that we haven't talked about? What do you want NBS students to know?
Well, remember how involved we were?
Yeah.
We were the charter, I think.
We were on the charter. Yeah, we were
at Harding
on the
University.
original Harding, 1987. I just dated.
Yeah, yeah.
But yes. Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the competitions were critical to my success. You know, I ended up winning like 4 or 5, national finalists, and then the grand prize my last year. I won the grand prize, right? And it was so critical for me to get feedback. And we would enter the regional contest, right? And state contests, go to all the conventions, to learn and be around like-minded people. And I can't say enough about, I call it AERho. It really helped me. And then I continued that professionally with the Emmy Awards and APs and, you name it. So it's critical, I thought, to win awards. It's not about winning awards, but it gives you credibility, So I don't have a problem with that.
Well, and you don't win if you don't submit.
Right.
And it does speak a lot to your resume. It shows, it does show that your peers think your work is outstanding.
And it will open doors.
Yeah.
Rick, I got a question for you. This is Ray.
Yeah.
I just got to thinking while you were answering that last question, with several years with social media, a lot of people have become, well, I guess more their own videographer, you could say, with their phones and everything like that, because they produce videos, they put them online. Are there things, because I know a lot of students do that as well. Are there things that even in situations like that, with so many videos being posted and produced now than say when we were younger, because I'm 61 myself, are there takeaways from what you see? And then are there things that you don't need to take away from that because they're so popular?
Well, everybody's a photographer now, right? Like you say, everybody's got a phone, got a computer, you're your own news organization. You could reach the world in a heartbeat. I'm not on social media that much. I'm listening to my grandkids. I'm sorry, I got distracted. We're keeping them out of the room. I see a lot of bad video. And even a thing like, oh, well, hey.
Bye, Papa.
Bye-bye. Say hi.
Hi.
I love you.
Thank you, Papa.
Okay, close the door, please.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, she's cute.
Like, I'm looking at the Zoom shots, R4 or 5, and let's say I like to shoot interviews. I want the background to mean as much as the subject. This tells you more about me, maybe, than, no offense, Patrick, than that yellow wall or Ginger's bathroom back there. I don't know what she's got back there.
Those are coffee mugs.
And Ray, so you got his overexposed light coming through.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
I mean, I
He
don't
does
know.
this to me too. He's like, look at that trash can that's in the background. I'm like, oh, I'm a producer. I'm not a videographer.
I don't know.
I could be in my room back there in my office, and then you'd have antique radios and phonographs behind me. So
see, that would be cool. That would tell me a lot about Ray.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm the one that even asked this question. I see a lot of great stuff, beautiful images on social media as well. I mean, man, I think if you have the toys, you can do some amazing work. But I don't think I answered your question very well, Ray.
Well, maybe the question that a lot of students might ask is if news breaks out in front of them, they've only got their phone, how do they best shoot it?
This way, not that way.
Horizontal.
Yeah, that's the number one. If I got a pet peeve with these things, that's it. I see my wife shooting all the time like this. That would be it. If they uncover Jimmy Hoffa, I would try to get sound. If you're there when Jimmy Hoffa gets discovered, try to get some sound. Like, man, what's going on? Well, we just uncovered Jimmy Hoffa. You know, if something bad is happening, I hope they'll put their phone down and go help. Right? Like if a cop's being assaulted, I hope they put the phone down and go help, because that's what I do. But I try to tell a story like wide, medium, close, right? All the basics. You're always doing the basics, even movies, even television shows, all those different techniques. But the camera is you know, if all you have is your phone, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I would say quality-wise, news will take anything any day. It used to be where phones were never. No, you needed a professional ENG photographer. No more, no longer now.
I see a lot of, I would say, starting out photographers with a lot of pans and zooms. Can you touch on that a little bit? When is it appropriate? When is it not?
Pan, I would like to, like landscape, maybe, or my big thing is revealing. Like, I want to reveal, I'll come off a plaque, maybe go to a street with a car going through it. I want to make it, try to make it interesting. I'm not big, I don't look like that to the world. I'm not panning and zooming. Now, I'll zoom when there's a tight shot of a guy working, and then I'll zoom out. Well, all of a sudden he's on a water tower. Now you've revealed. You thought he was on the ground, but now as you zoom out, you reveal. So my thing about this is, if I want to reveal something, I'll use those shots, but I don't use them very often. I think they're distracting, overused, like a rack focus. I think those are overused. Most interesting shots are the close-ups, to me. So that's what Rick Trujillo does. He's a close-up audio nut.
Let's talk a little bit about lighting too, because you are a lighting genius. So what are some common lighting problems or missteps that you see, I would say, novice videographers do?
I would definitely look at your background. I think the more environments I'm in, the better I'm able to assess what's happening. Is there, you know, 3,200, 5,600 coming in? Do I need to use gels? Do I need to move? Do I need to bring in a light here or there? I'm a big fan of natural light. You know, I can set up 20 little lights for a network, you know, and it all looks pretty, but there's nothing more beautiful than natural light, in my opinion. So I think the big thing I see is exposure issues with the background and the foreground, white balance issues with some of the crazy, you know, environments you're going to find yourself in. It's just another part of the art and craft, because audio is a totally different animal. And you just takes time, I think, just to be able to assess, okay, this is what filter I need to be on. No, I don't need to be shooting over there. I need to be move here 1 inch. You know what I mean? But I would just, I see a lot of white balance issues with blue coming in the windows. So you don't need a lot of lights. I mean, I remember in the old days, you had the gain switch. That was like people's light kit. That's all they used, right? So, but if you have the toys and you have the time, you can really make something beautiful. Like if I was gonna light this shot, all I have is a light here and a little light here, but I would bring everything down. I'd have a little light on my bike here, maybe a piece of something here, have a hair light. I would just be able to control every part of the room.
Mhm.
So.
You start by blocking the light and then adding the light.
Yeah, it just depends on the situation. When you're out there in the street, you can't avoid the harsh, sunlight coming down at noon, but you can get them in some shade real quick, So it's just, you learn the longer you're out there, you'll assess, what do I need to do? That makes sense?
What makes a good story? Because that's ultimately what you're doing, is storytelling. You're also a genius editor, if I could say so, because it's not just about shooting, although you have to shoot it right, but then it's also about putting together the story. So what is your approach? What are you looking for? You've shot all these different things. Now you want to build a story. So where do you begin? What are you going for?
I would say, if I'm going to enterprise a piece by myself without a reporter, net sound piece, what's my most important shot? Opening shot. What's my second most important shot? Closing shot. I'm going to put my microphone on the craziest, loudest, funniest character I can out there, because they'll tell your story, right? So I'm looking for crazy people, right? I'm looking for the amazing people who just are colorful. It's just, I go in there with an idea. It's already edited in my head when I'm finished. So there's no, I'm in the edit bay looking through raw footage. Oh, this is not gonna, because I already know. That's why I don't ever edit anybody else's stuff, or they don't edit mine, because I shoot very specific for a specific purpose. And I know what's gonna work, what's not gonna work. So I'm editing as I'm shooting. So I want a good beginning, middle, and end. I want some sequences, nat sound breaks, reveal the story as you go along. It's like telling a joke. You don't want to give the punchline right off the bat. You want to have a reveal. So try to have a memorable moment or two where people will maybe, wow, remember that, But they're all different. They're all different. When they come together, it's a beautiful thing. But it's just, I kind of have an idea, but I'll adjust when I'm out in the field. And sometimes I'll come up with something that was something I never thought about. So it's just being fluid, but also knowing what you shot, knowing where your sound is, so you don't waste time when you're editing. You're not sifting back and forth, looking for hours. So I log everything, and I don't shoot a whole lot. Very specific on my shots. So there's no zooming in and focusing while I'm hitting the record button. All that's done before I hit the button, the record button. So that's how I approach it.
Final thoughts?
Oh, man, like I say, I'm 65. I feel like I'm 35. and people still want to hire me. I think that's amazing, and I love what I do, and it's been a gift. It's been a gift, and if I get to work with some of these high school kids this fall, that's what I'm going to push. This could change your life, you know. If you can learn how to be a good storyteller with technology nowadays, which is amazing, cameras, and oh my gosh.
And cheaper. It doesn't cost what it used to cost.
And smaller, more lightweight.
Yeah.
So I'm still learning. A lot of my friends are 20 years, 25 years old. They're computer savvy. They know the toys, the lenses. They teach me stuff. So I think it's a lifelong just gift. I can't believe I still get to do it. So
That's great. Well, Rick Trujillo, it's been great fun to talk with you and to reconnect. So thank you.
all right, thank
I really
you.
appreciate you taking the time.